today to... Oh, I've not got my glasses on. Hello beautiful booktubers, I'm Becky Bookworm and I'm here today to do a book haul. Oh, I did get a new plant. This one here. I can't remember the name of it, Amazonica or something, but it's absolutely beautiful, and like even the underside of its leaves are really lovely, and it's just nice. I still have my other plants, they're just sitting on the windowsill, so I tend to rotate them so I have different plants next to me at night. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, onto the book haul. So the first book is downstairs and I can't bother to go and get it, and I rebought a copy of the Becky Chambers' The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I ended up rebuying this because I lent it to a friend who lives in London and I've not seen her for ages, and I was in a bookstore and I really wanted to read it again and it was cheap, so I bought it because I desperately wanted to reread it, and I'm actually reading it at the moment and it's just such a wonderful story. I love everything about it. It's just like a nice, familiar travel through space with your friends. That's what I'm finding it at the moment. Next up is a book I bought ages ago. I think it's a while since I've done a haul. It's The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell. I'm slowly devouring this one. I've just been reading a story every so often. I think I've got two stories left and I'm enjoying it so far. I think I need to go back and reread some of them because like the way Jen writes about folklore and symbolism and that sort of stuff, it's easy to miss things, so I want to go back and reread it and make sure I've understood everything. But there's some really great stories in here, so if you haven't read any of Jen's work yet and you like short story collections and fairy tales, give it a go. Next up is the sequel to Discovery of Witches, which I read while I was on holiday last month and it took me ages, and I had kind of a love-hate relationship with it, but I still want to know what happens, so I've bought the sequel, which is Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. This is the continuation of the story of Discovery of Witches, which is the tale which is the tale of her surname's Bishop, I can't remember her first name, but she comes from a long line of witches and she's suppressed her witchy behaviour throughout her life, and it starts to come out and there's a bit of a conspiracy happening and somebody's killed her parents, and this vampire starts to go after her when she's somehow awakened this ancient manuscript, but they have a bit of insta-love, which is where I have a bit of an issue with it. But there were lots in the book that I did really like, so I wanted to know what happens, so I got the next one. Next up, Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. I've seen a couple of people talk about this and it was on buy one get one free in the bookshop, so I decided to buy it. I don't know much about it apart from that it's sci-fi. It says the year is 2454, humanity has engineered a hard-won golden age, forged in the aftermath of a bitter conflict that wiped both religion and nation state from the planet. 7 factions or hives have co-governed the world for 3 centuries, their rule fueled by careful censorship, oracular statistical analytics, and technological abundance that is a mouthful. Convicted for his crimes, celebrated for his talents, Mycroft Canner is the indentured instrument and confidant of some of the world's most powerful figures. When he's asked to investigate a bizarre theft, he finds himself on the trail of a conspiracy that should shatter the fragile world order. But Mycroft has his own secrets. He's concealing a much greater threat to 7 hives, a wild card no degree of statistical analysis could have prophesied. This threat takes the unlikely form of a 13-year-old, for how will a world that has banished God deal with a child who can perform miracles? That sounds pretty good. It says Terra Ignota Book 1, so I'm assuming this is part of a series. I don't know how many books. But again, I heard people talking about it, maybe not last year, maybe the year before, which is why I couldn't really remember anything about it. I just remember it sounded good, so boom. This one is a book I did a swap with a friend. It's a bit dusty. I lent her The Soul of an Octopus, which is all about somebody who decided to interact with octopuses and learn all they could about them, and it's a great non-fiction book. This is another non-fiction book, as far as I can tell. It's called Kraken, The Curious, Exciting and Slightly Disturbing Science of Squid. For those that don't know, I really love sea creatures and learning about them, and I'm excited to read this. It's got decal edges, which we always like. So did I say who it's by? It's by Wendy Williams if I didn't. Daughters of the Witching Hill by Mary Sharratt. This tells the story of two powerful women. I believe it's a story of a woman and her granddaughter and how they cope with persecution. Again, I heard somebody talking about this on BookTube a while ago and managed to find a cheap second-hand copy. Now, the next is a book called The Green Witch, Your Complete Guide to the Natural Magic of Herbs, Flowers, Essential Oils and More by Irene Murphy-Hiscock. I've been getting back into sort of nature, witchy kind of things recently. I'm finding it really interesting to read about and learn from. And for those that saw, I bought a book called Basic Witches a few months ago, just to really help me organise my thoughts, set my intentions and cope with things in life, really. And I'm finding it quite interesting, so I saw this one was recommended and I decided to treat myself to it. And it's a lovely, like, non-covered hardback. I don't know if you can see that. It's really nice. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that and learning some things. And then we have another witch book which I've started reading, which is The Modern Guide to Witchcraft, Your Complete Guide to Witches, Covens and Spells by Skye Alexander. It is what it says on the tin. It's got decal edges. It's just going through where it comes from, what happens with it, what are the thoughts behind it, the different factions, the things that you can do. It's just a really practical guide, and it just leads you through it, and you just build your own, what's the word? I don't know, you just build your, whatever suits your lifestyle. You can find things to fit it to help you live your life in a more intentional way, I guess. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but yeah, it's quite good so far. Another uncovered hardback. I think they seem to be coming back in fashion again at the minute. And the last one is this beautiful book, which is an occult book called the Ghoul Fagin, or the Ghoul Fagin book. It's book 3 in a series. I haven't got book 1 and 2 because they are very limited edition and I missed them. But this is, it's the Sagas, Witchcraft and Poetry, which is an illumination on the Old Norse belief in the adverse powers of the underworld and an elaborate study and view upon the underworld as a primordial source of the anti-cosmic current. So it just sounds really interesting. It's a small publisher, and if you have a look here, like some of the artwork in this is just absolutely beautiful. I'm excited to learn this because I don't know anything about Norse occult or anything like that, and I think it's just going to be a really interesting read. It's not something that I usually read, and I just saw it and there we go, and decided that I had to give it a go. And also it's just a very beautiful book. They do like deluxe leather versions and stuff like that, but I don't like using leather and things like that, so I'm pleased enough with this one. So, and the last two are magazines, and I was actually given these for free when I went to the West Yorkshire Vegan Winter Christmas Market, or whatever it was called. They were giving these away at the door, which is Vegan Life magazine. I think it's November and December. I've read these before, they're okay. They're obviously very skewed towards veganism, which I am vegan, so that's fine. But I find I've been vegan for so long that it doesn't really give me anything I don't know. But there's some interesting stuff and some interesting recipes in there. It's not all doom and gloom, which is also good. And there's adverts for lots of vegan junk food, which is good. So, but that is it for me, really. Like I said, I've not really been doing much this week. I'm feeling a bit burnt out. I have been drawing. Well, I've been carrying on with a dragon that I've been drawing, but I've been drawing some plants. It's probably because I bought that herb book, but I've been drawing a few plants. Ignore that one, it was a mess. But I got some new pens and I've been drawing some plants and herbs and stuff and trying to draw jars. And I'm also just working on a dragon. This is a work in progress, so it is not finished. And that is me. I'm going to spend the rest of the day, I think, drawing and eating nice things and just generally trying to relax. But that's it from me today. Let me know how your week's going. What have you been up to? If you've read any of these books that I've bought, please let me know what you thought down in the comments. If you've got any questions about them, let me know. I will be back next week with another video. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. Big hugs. Bye!